time I will show you how to attach a line to a fresh spool and how to fill it up. Let's begin with attaching a line to a spool. There are two ways and I will demonstrate both of them. Let's start with the first one. Let's grab a little bit of line and let's make a little loop. It doesn't really matter, it can be bigger loop, smaller loop, doesn't really matter, and you can use any knot really, as long as loop is secure, that's fine. I will use figure of 8 loop, not for this. It's very important to have this knot as small as possible. And the tag end should be quite short as well. Right, I have my loop here. So all I will do next, I will grab probably about 20 centimeters from that loop and make another loop, and then I will pass that loop through that loop I just tied, just like that, and will pull a little bit more, and I will end up with a loop which is working like a lasso. So, and the next step is just very simple. I will put my spool into this loop, and of course you want to make sure that you are putting it from the right direction, so when you will be winding the wraps on top, it wouldn't slip. And also it's very important to have the knot as close to the bottom of the spool. Just like that. This is important because obviously you will be laying more wraps on top of the knot, and if the knot would be somewhere in the middle, there would be a little bump, and you would want to have that bump as low as possible, so it would be out of the way as possible. And then it's just a simple case, putting the spool back on the reel and putting as many wraps on the spool as you want. Now there is another way how to do it, and actually I prefer that other way. And it's even much simpler actually. It's basically just putting a couple wraps and not using any knot at all. You probably will be thinking now, okay, but is it secure? Well, probably I put about 10 wraps or so, and I can't pull it off already, so it's secure, it's not slipping at all. So, and when there will be like hundreds of wraps, thousands of wraps on the spool, there is no chance that this line will slip or anything. And the advantages of this kind of attachment, or no attachment should I say, will be that we won't have any knots, so the line lay will be perfect. And also, in case if you would be fishing for carp, for example, and your alarm wouldn't work or something like that, and if the fish would take all your line without you knowing, but that would be it. It wouldn't take your rod with it, so it's a little bit of an advantage as well when fishing for big fish. And now let's say I have attached my line onto the spool. how do I fill it up it to be full and usable? So everything is very simple. Basically, you have to remember that the line on the spool was put on by just making wraps, basically. So you want to take the line of the spool, so it would be turning and twisting. You don't want to take the line of the spool just like that. By doing so, you will twist your line more. So you always want your line to come off the spool in the way when the spool is twisting. And there are many ways to do that. The easiest probably is just to put some pencil or something through the middle of the spool and just put your spool on the reel and the reel on the rod and just fill it up your rod, your reel with as much line as you want. Also, it's very important when you're putting your line on your reel spool is just to wet it a little bit when putting it on. So I have discovered that the best for that is just to use some dry clothes. Also, it's very important to mention that you want to have your line more or less in line with those two lips. You don't want to go over it, because you will end up having many tangles. But also you don't want to have too little line as well, just when it's like a couple millimeters not up to the lip. So by having that little line, you will impact your casting. You won't be able to cast as well. And that's it for today, guys. I hope this basic video will be useful for you. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.